Hey everybody, it's Nick with Richardson ISD Tech Specialist for Special Education. I'm here to show you some awesome tips and tools that we can use in Google Chrome, also in Google Drive, and the new Google Classroom. So let's get started with some screen share. I'm using Google Hangout to do this. Here's my full screen, and let's do it. So the agenda today, like I said, Google Chrome, we're going to be going over settings, extensions, and apps. Google Drive, we're going to do docs, sheets, forms, and slides. And we're going to end on Google Classroom, which is their new tool which allows teachers to create a classroom digitally, have an invite for the students, and then they can share notes, assignments. They can have a news feed. There's loads of ways that a teacher can use the Google Classroom. So let's start first by Google Chrome. The first thing you want to do when looking at Google Chrome is I would start with just google.com so you can look at what the actual basic website looks like. So Google search is here. The first thing you want to do is make sure you're logged in as you. Up here you can see where I'm at. I'm logged in as Nick Wright, which is the g.risd here on Gmail. You can see up here in the top it's got my picture. It should say your name or potentially have a picture for you. So you want to make sure you're logged in as your best Gmail, preferably your educator Gmail is best. So let's see here. Once you get logged in, the first thing you want to think about with Chrome is your settings. So I want to show you a few things with that. In your settings tab, you'll find it over here where the three hot dogs or these three bars on the far right. You'll click there and go down and see if you're signed in as yourself. That's important. And then right below that it shows settings. So we're in the settings tab now. It shows what we're signed in as myself. On startup it'll talk about your home page. Appearance, you can get different themes. Search, obviously we're going to use Google for our main search. It'll show users here. This is important if you're going to be sharing the computer or have different Google accounts that are going to be on the same Google Chrome. Basically, when I first signed up, it gave me a first user. That's nobody. That's just the basic default. And then I signed in as my RSD Nick account. This is the one I'll be using. If I wanted to add a user, you click there and then you just log in with them. So that way they have a different icon. The way that looks is once you click on new user, you're going to pick an icon. Sure, the pizza looks good. And then you're going to go ahead and they can create a desktop for them. And then you could be the supervised manager. For instance, if you're a parent and your students or your child's going to be using the same computer, that's going to give you a chance to supervise what they're doing. So that's how you create another user to share on the same Chrome. Browser, it is our default. In advanced settings, you're going to get some more fun things to work with. Here it shows privacy. There's some various content settings that will help you with cookies and browser, the way you're being followed. You can clear your browser history here. It also gives you some other privacy settings. Passwords, you could choose to be autofill or not. The web content, it will give you size, network, languages, how the downloads are going to be put. So if you download something off of Chrome, it'll put it into a certain place. And then Google Cloud Print is really good, especially for your Chromebook if you're using that. And that's basically what's going to be happening in settings. Before we go over to history or extensions, the most important thing we want to do is find out how we can make Google Chrome work better for us. And with the word extensions, there's a certain thing that Chrome allows is that you can do little add-ons. Extensions are going to be things that improve your browser itself and also give you tools that will make it more personal for you. And then if we talk about Google Apps, apps are different. Apps are up here in the left corner, and I'll go there in just a second. Let me see if I can show you that apps area. So apps is up there in that top. So let's click on Google Apps for real quick and see what we get. Mine might look a little bit different. I have an extension added to my Chrome that gives it the black menu so those icons pop up. Conceptually, Chrome is trying to make this desktop experience on the internet. So instead of you going to your desktop where you have different apps or different programs, it's all going to be on the web. I've got some various Google tools. I've got Evernote. I've got Pixlr, timers, things like that. But where you're going to get these items is called the Google Web Store. It's in the top left. So at the Google Web Store, it's going to allow you to add apps and extensions through the browser. So imagine this browser as more of a portal to more powerful internet. So just in case you were wondering, if I had a Chromebook, this is all I would see. I'm on a PC, Toshiba, so I can actually go off the internet and you see my full desktop. So that's how my desktop would look, and all these powerful programs and Excel sheet and apps and programs that are here are on the desktop. Now if we click back on Chrome, we're in their web store. To add apps for Google, this is going to be ones that are going to be separate than just the browser. They're going to be programs and apps that work stronger, but they're going to be separate than just the browser. If you go down a little further, they offer extensions. Extensions are going to be the things that are up in the upper right. You're going to see them up here. I've got a few various ones. My extensions, I've got explain and send screenshots. I've got a text-to-speech one. I've got a capture Google shortener. I've got Screencastify, a calculator. I've got Google Drive. I've got my Twitter. I've got Tab Cloud, which is going to allow me to save all the tabs for presentations. I've got the Google Hangout, which is what we're using now. Google Voice, in case I need to call parents or anybody that I don't want to use my personal number. And finally, I have a timer, which is great for presentations. So this is what we're looking at with extensions. They're going to be at the top of the browser. This is different than apps. Apps are things that you're going to find in the Chrome Web Store, and they're going to be working differently. Let me show you. So for instance, under the apps, one that I really enjoy is Pixlr. And I mentioned it earlier, and I would do the Express version. So Pixlr Express basically makes your browsing experience similar to Adobe Photoshop, but a basic version. So I've already downloaded it. If I hadn't, it would be free. So you click the free and you add it to Chrome. It would look like this. So you'd hit add. This is more of the extension portion. We're looking at the app, which is at the top. So if I want to find that app and use it with you guys, here's how I would do it. I would start a new tab, and I would go to my apps, and then I could get to my Pixlr. So I'm going to use Pixlr Express. I want to show you what it looks like. This is how powerful an app can be. Remember, I'm still on my web browser. I'm still within Google Chrome. Now, the first thing you want to do is you're going to want to add a photo. So I can browse. Let me pick a photo from my computer. I'm going to choose the Richardson ISD logo. This is for Special Student Services. So if I wanted to change some colors and augment this a little bit or resize it, I could. First thing I'm going to do is just look at adjustment. So you can see all the different things they give you. You've got airbrush, liquify, focal, splash. Let's airbrush it, why not? So if we airbrush, we can actually go over different parts of the logo, and it'll give us a change in size. So that gives you some different effects. It doesn't seem like that one was as exciting as I wanted. Let's see some other effects. This would allow it to be kind of like how your Instagram is. It's going to give you full-on different looks. Here we go. And I'm going to choose, I like this sort of sepia tone one. And actually, no, the Ethan one I didn't like as much. Let's go back to here. No, not what I wanted. See, so you can see exactly what you get, and you can change the colors. So this app is working more powerfully because I can change, rearrange photos, and this is all going to be within the browser. This is called PicExpress, and it's wonderful. You can even add type to it. You can add borders, overlays, stickers. This is an example of how an app is really powerful. Now, let me show you the difference between an app and an extension. For instance, I added an extension, which is going to be something on the actual browser at the top, and I'll show you, for instance, the calculator. I have a calculator that pops up here at the top. It's an extension. It makes the browser more personal to me, but in case I'm doing math off the screen and I want to do 5 plus 6 equals, I can go ahead and get my answer. That's 11. So the calculator is great. I had shown you guys the timer. There's various extensions to use. So that's the basics of looking at the Google Chrome browser. So the things that we covered were settings, extensions, and apps. The app example was Pixlr. The extensions are up in the top right. I really encourage you, if you're not that familiar with Chrome, the browser, just play with it. Go to the web store. It's awesome to use, and it makes it really fun. There's different games and collections that you can use. I would say some of the most important for education is they already put them. For instance, if you're an elementary school teacher, they organize ones that are specific to elementary school. And you have some that are high school, and it helps so much. For instance, there's a graphing calculator you might want to use as well. So let's close that, and then let's look at up here on the left what these little, if you can see in the top, I have these little ones, and they're called pinned. They're pinned. So these right here are considered pinned tabs. Now I did unpin one by clicking on the right click, and I could unpin it. But if I had a brand new one, and I said, oh, I want to really pin this new tab, right click and then say pin tab, and that'll slide the browser tab over. So if I pinned it, and then I could move it around. So that's what that looks like when you pin a tab. And those are important too, because to me, once you pin it, it's something that will stay there as well, and it can be saved much easier. So let me unzoom here. And now let's look at Drive a little bit. If I wanted to go to my Google Drive, I click on Apps, which is on my left. It's kind of nice that they're keeping apps on the left and then extensions on the right. It allows you to kind of see the difference when selecting. So Google Drive, it's the triangle, the multicolored green, yellow, and blue triangle. And you might want to take note, Google Drive has changed over the last month or so, called the new Google Drive. If you want to see what it looks like in the old version, it looks a little bit like this. Let me see if I can pull up Google Drive for you guys real quick. Google Drive used to look like, here, I just go log in, it'd pull it up, and it said create and upload my drive. If you want to come to the new Google Drive, you're going to go to the settings on the far right. You're going to go ahead and click it. It says experience the new drive. That's how you would change it to be the new drive. So just a little note, this training is going to be focused on the new drive. So the new drive looks different. It says new at the top. That's a good clue. It says my drive still. Incoming will be the ones that people have shared with you. We'll talk more about docs and sheets that have been shared. Below that, you've got recent, which I like because that's the last things you changed. Starred are the starred items that you want to come back to, and then trash. One thing to take note is that anything in the trash can be received again and pulled out of it unless you go to the final step, which would be taking out the trash. So that's what's kind of on the left side. Before we start creating things, I also want to tell you what's on the right side of the screen. You can see the different views. So the list view, I was using grid view, but list just means it goes straight down. Grid's going to give you a little bit more images, show you a little piece of what the project is. A to Z, it'll let you sort it. I'm doing last edited by me, so it's the stuff I've most recently touched. You could also do modified, which means anybody changed it. Last opened, and also by name. So if you want to do it by name, for instance, it's going to help you get it more alphabetically, if that's how you like to work. And it would start with obviously A in the alpha part, and then down here it could be numerical because some of these are date oriented at the bottom. But I'm going to leave it in last edited by me. You can also look at view details. This will tell you a little bit more about my drive, and it talks about who's edited the program, who's edited the file, any changes to it. This gives you the activity. In details, I can talk about the details folder. And then up here, settings, it'll say settings for the drive. You click it, and it can show a few different things. Convert uploads to Google Docs editor format. Language settings, offline, you can sync this to your computer. Managing apps, there's various apps that are going to be included with Google Drive, and I'll show you they're a little different than what we would do with extensions because they're built just into Google Drive. So that's kind of the format, the way that Google Drive is set up. Once again, be sure when you're using Google that you're signed in as your main login, because you're going to see all the information that you've built on that account. So here, let's look. If I'm going to create something new, it's going to give me some options. I click it once, and we could upload a whole folder. That would be uploading something from your computer. That's a whole folder. You could upload a file, which would be one file. You could also upload, oh, I'm sorry, this is a new folder. So if you want to build a new folder, you click that. Then you could upload one file. You could upload an entire folder. Google Forms are here, Cuckoo, Pear Deck. Let's look and see if I can get them in the order I want. I'll come back and edit that. But the one we're going to start with is Docs today. So it comes open as just a regular word processing document. There's not a lot to teach here. Some of the coolest things I've seen, though, is that you can insert a table. Just go whatever size you want it to be. I usually go like that. And then you could type in cause effect. So we can make cause and effect cards. And then here, instead of trying to go look for an image somewhere else, you can actually insert an image just through research. So if I hit tools in the research tab, it'll give me images off to the side. So I do want to click images, and I want it to be about, let's do fall leaves. Fall's coming up. Here we go. And I will choose, not that image, let's do one from the trees. Let's see if we like this one. And it'll pull it up from the website, which is pretty cool. So if you want to check anything for text or video or images, let me click this and bring it over. And it goes right into that part. And then under effect, I'll probably want to do, let's say, raking these. We'll do image. You can search for everything. You can do images, you can do quotes, dictionary, tables, loads of cool stuff. We'll do images, and here we go. So what I'm thinking is to word it, the leaves around November, the kids, and actually, no, this needs to spell it right. The kids are raking parents. There we go. And once I close that, it'll increase the size. And if I want to make them bigger, I can stretch it out. So in case you're making flashcards, you could pretty much just make these tables, and you can continue making them. The best way to make another table is to go to the end of it and hit tab. So if I tab, I can keep making more tables for more note cards. So that's just a cool way to use a Google document rather than just typing a paper, which you could type a paper and share it as well. So now that we've made this, I want to show you a very important tab up here, or an important button. It's blue, and it says share. I'm going to click the share button, and then once I click it, it's going to say title, obviously, so we'll say Raking Leaves. I save it, and then it can say, who do you want to share with? I'll just type in my personal, nickret.teacher@gmail, and I can give myself editing rights, commenting rights, or view rights. I'll leave it as edit, so I could change it from that as well. So if I hit send, yes, now I'm a part of it, which is cool. Now if I want to do advanced settings, I can show you one more thing. Under advanced, it'll allow you to do a link, so you can send it to anybody, but you have to change the rights. So right now I have it off except for specific people, but I could do anyone with a link, and they could view it, they could edit it, or comment. I would say anyone with a link is a little bit more risky, but the link is the actual URL is so complex that you really couldn't just crack it. You'd have to share it with somebody. So if I do that, I'll hit save, and this would be only for someone to view it. So I could do Control C to copy it. I could hit done, and then if I went up to a new tab in my browser and do Control V to paste it, you would see that document come right up. And so someone that you're collaborating with, and if you don't just share it with the blue button, it could be a lesson plan that you're sharing with teachers, and you want them to collaborate with you. So that's an example of how to use a Google Doc a little bit more uniquely. Now, if I close that and I think, where did it go? Well, I click back to my drive, and it should be the last thing edited. So if you look down here, you'll see down here it says raking leaves. So now you notice like the last thing I created is going to be the next part of my my Google Drive, which is nice. So it's easier to find it. The next thing I want to show you guys from here is I'll explain this first of all. That under Google Drive you can also do Google Sheets. Google Sheets are, I guess, how would I say it? They're like the Excel document. They're like a spreadsheet. Google Slides is what I was using before, which was to make this presentation. Google Drawings are regular drawings, and then you can see these other portions, which are like the apps. Let me click on Google Sheets real quick. Google Sheets are really cool because they're powerful, probably not as much as Microsoft Excel, but they do definitely get the job done. And you can also copy and paste the sheets and loads, and then you share the same way as you would before. Another tool that people really enjoy is Google Forms. Forms is a way of building a survey or building questionnaires or building a test, and the person answers it, whoever you share it with, and then you collect the data. To create a form, you click here, and it starts out as untitled, so you want to title the form, go through it. You can give the person various rights, which would be like they could require their login with RSD. If they put in their username, then they can go edit their responses, all sorts. But once you build your form, you want to make sure that you are going to be able to view responses. So it'll be the same. Let's do sample form. You want to title it something, and then it brings up the back end. So now I have an Excel sheet in front of me. So imagine whatever this form is. I'll just say your name, and I could make that a text box. Hit done, and then I could also do text, favorite food. This one I could actually change to make it multiple choice. We could do Mexican, pizza, hamburger. Bam. And so now they've got some choices. You can also add other, and I'll hit done. So now the form is available. If I hit view live form, then you're going to be able to see it a lot better. So now the person can answer it. So my name is Nick, and I like pizza. Submit. Now it's going to say you could submit another response, but the most important thing is we are in charge of the back end. So if I hit my responses, you should see now in the Excel sheet, they give you a timestamp, it's your name, and food. So imagine you do this for a test, and you could have questions, multiple choice, and then there's ways that you can actually grade it. So once you answer, well, I guess once you have them answer all the questions, it will come up in the Excel sheet, and then you would have an add-on. If you want to grade it, you'd add an add-on called Flubaroo, and we're not going to get in that this session, but it will be a way that you grade this assignment. You just give the actual what's the right answer and the wrong answer, and then it does it for you. Okay, so that's a little taste of Google Forms. I've done some different trainings on Google Forms that have shown some various things. One thing that's been really good for Google Forms has been not just informational like I just showed you, but also if it's collecting data for like campus visits. So I'm a instructional specialist for technology at Richardson ISD. So for instance, I have a curriculum visit form. If I was to go on a campus, I could save this on my phone, like a mobile app basically. And when I get done with the at the campus, I can just click, for instance, my name, which teacher I went to go visit, which campus it was on, so we have a drop-down box for that, date and time, end time, did I speak to administrator, and then the purpose. So if it's special ed related, is it something with struggling students? Is it going to observe? Is it planning? And then I can have some notes on it and hit submit, and then all that backend data comes to me. So I have some accountability for what I've done throughout the day, the week, the whole year, whatever you want to show off. So it's a great way to collect not only test data, interviews for people, regular surveys, but also for building visit forms or anything with students. And one thing to show you in forms is once you've built it and it's live on the web, if you have editing rights, you can click it on the right, and it'll go ahead and put you right into the form where you can edit and change things. So Google Forms is really powerful. I highly recommend it as a way of collecting data. Let's look at Drive one more time and see if there's anything else we want to cover before we move on. One thing to notice up here in Drive is when you click New, I've seen that what I've chosen last is what's going to come up. So like if I unpin this tab and I go here, I've played with docs, sheets, those things. So if I click on it, now you can see docs, sheets, and forms are the next things available. If I was to start playing with the slideshow that I just did, like for instance the one I made for this session, you would see it come up in Google Slides, and then if I went back to Google Drive, that should be the top thing that's editing. So I just used that. So if I said refresh, you would notice the next thing up there is Google Docs. Well, it should have been the other way. That's weird. And then if you see anything here, this would be things that you could delete. So for instance, that sample thing, I click on it and I could say remove, sample responses, remove, untitled sample, remove. And so now I'm down to raking leaves, and I'm totally cool leaving that if we want, but I could remove it. And then you wonder, was it really gone? No, if in case you did something on accident, there's still all this availability down here. So I know one of those that we didn't need anymore was the sample one. So if I click sample, now it says delete forever. Yes, I can delete forever. Or I could restore it and put it back into my drive. And what's kind of cool is you can see in the recent tab what's the last few things I edited, and you saw the last thing I touched was the Google training, so that's what popped up. The other thing for incoming, this is going to show who's sharing stuff with me. Different people from work. It could be other accounts where I'm sharing documents with even myself. That way I have both accounts with access. So Google Drive is pretty powerful and awesome. I highly recommend it to change your way of creating things. Instead of just doing something on Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel, start with Google Drive. That way you can have it anywhere. So in case your laptop breaks down, you don't have your Google Word stuck on one laptop and it's gone. At least it's saving it on the internet or the cloud. That way you can go back to it. The last thing I want to show you, which is really powerful as well, is if I click New, I can upload a file. I like this because in the file, if I chose a document, with our work we use different templates. So I'll use a 6 weeks calendar. If I was to open that, it'll upload it here at the bottom. And what's awesome is it'll pop up right here. Problem, it's a Word document. Can I do anything with it? No, not in Google Drive. You need to change it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it with Google Docs. This will now convert that Word document into something I can edit on the browser. So it's pretty cool because now I can go vice versa. I can make it in Word and then move it to Drive or as a doc, or I can make something in Drive and move it to Word. So in case, and now I can edit this one obviously, but in case my boss wants to take this doc, whatever this is, and wants to use it in Word, the way you transfer it back to Word is while you're in that doc, you'll hit File, you'll go to Download As, and then it gives you an option to do Word. It says Open Document, Rich Text Format, PDF, Plain Text, and Web Page. We'll do Word, and then check it out. It starts to get really smart. It transfers it down there in your download area. Once it's downloading in the bottom, you'll see it over here. That's where all the Google is going to be at. So all your downloads will be over this way. Let's see if it can move over. So you see it there. Let me go ahead and click on it. And then you'll open it up in Word, so the screen starts to change over. And this is super cool because now that same document that you were playing with on Drive is in Word, and then you can share it with us or whoever wants to see it. Let's see here. That view needs to be one page. There we go. And I'll just go back to my Drive. Okay, so review. Google Drive setup, pretty awesome. Let's see now. Let's make this look good again. There we go. Cool. So Google Drive, we've now converted from a Word document into a Drive and then put it back. The last part of our session before we're done today, we looked at a lot of different things. I want to look at Google Classroom. That's their brand new teacher tool, which will allow teachers to connect to students, share homework, do notes, have kind of like the Edmodo experience, but it's going to be free through your Google, and it connects to your Drive. So anything you're creating in Drive will be allowed in class. Let's start here. So I've made a sample classroom, and the best way to do it is once you go to, let's do it from the get-go, classroom.google.com. So here's what it looks like at my homepage. I'm logged in still as nickwright@g.rsd.org, and one thing I do need to tell you is that you can only use Google Classroom right now as an educator account. And even if you share it with students, they have to have an educator account at Gmail. It can't just be the regular @gmail.com. So you need to make sure they're set up with something as a gmail.edu kind of thing. But anyway, so the way you start a new classroom is you hit the button. It says create class or join class. You would join a class. So if you were to click join a class, it'll ask for the code. The code will be here for you. It's in my classroom, and if I hit the Students tab, it'll show you the code. My code's right there, so it would be this JYRI91, and it has to be case sensitive, so be sure you do it lowercase to the numbers as well. So that is my classroom, but you could also invite people individually. And you can go through your whole directory or email them with that. And then once you get people in your class, you can remove them, and also you can give them email. Streaming. So in the streaming, it gives you a chance to have notes. So to share with your class, I could say, welcome to the Google Classroom. I want to add an image. Click on it. And I could even get one from my Drive. So we could do, or upload. So if it's something that I already have that I'm like, welcome, I could go to my pictures. I could do this peace sign, maybe like, hey, everybody, peace out. Hopefully everyone's having a good day. So I put that in, and then it says peace, and it's like, welcome to the classroom. That's one way to do it. And then if you don't want to post that, you can cancel it. You could also use your Drive. So you go to my Drive. It'll allow you to pull anything that's on here. So you can see I've got my peace sign there. I can do a video. So if you go to YouTube, I could do welcome. It'll look for videos that are welcome to school. So it's a new school year on YouTube. I click that video. And then there it is. And even a web link. So if it's something like a Google form that I had, I can do Control-V. There's the form that we were using and sharing, add, and I can post it. So that's kind of like a news feed portion where you can just share things. Another really neat thing that I noticed is in the About section, you could have over here not only your teacher email and your Google Drive folder where you're going to be dropping these things, but you can also add things. So like I have a final project, Google Training, Google Search, Google and RSD, and these could be like the syllabus as well. So if I was to add materials, I could do syllabus, just add that file or take it from my Drive. So it's just awesome. It's such a great way to connect to students. I think it's only going to grow. You can change the name. So if I want to change that, I could do change class theme, and this will allow me to change the background. For instance, if I want this really cool space kind of thing going on, that's pretty neat. It's actually got a spider on it, which is pretty tripped out. There's also this basketball shot. It's pretty neat. But I kind of like the rock and roll one. Perfect. So that's Google Classroom, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. So once you get students to join the class, and which I could do that real quick. Let's see if I can join the class. So let's go to classroom.google.com. Let's go ahead and, oh, I might not be able to because it's on my personal one. Let's see if I can get into, I don't know. We'll go to my test site here for g.risd. So if I log in as my test account, now I should be able to get into Google Classroom. So let's see. So I'm a student. I want to go to Google Classroom. Let's see. Oh, I'm on obviously a different browser, so it wouldn't be supported here. You need to be on Google Chrome and you need to log in with your EDU one. But you're seeing it from the teacher side here. If you're a student, you'd obviously log in with that code I gave, and then you would be able to follow the class. And the code is always off to the left over here. You can reset or disable in case the class is like full. You don't need anybody else to be added to it. So that's kind of the rundown of what we were going to do today. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. It's been kind of a crash course on browser and Classroom and all that good stuff, but it's really just an amazing tool. So let me go ahead and click off my screen share, and you should be able to see me again. So once again, my name is Nick. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, email me, nick.wright@risd.org, and you can also find me on Twitter at edtechnick, at edtechnick. Twitter. Have a good day.